Carl Jung, one of history's most influential psychologists, noticed something peculiar about intelligent people. The smarter they were, the more likely they felt broken inside. But what he discovered wasn't a flaw in their minds, but rather a sign of something extraordinary happening beneath the surface. In his years of treating hundreds of patients, Jung found a pattern. His most brilliant clients often felt the deepest sense of inner turmoil, even when their lives seemed perfect from the outside. Think about the last time you lay awake at night, your mind racing with questions about your life choices, while everyone else seemed to sleep peacefully. Jung found that this experience was incredibly common among people with higher intelligence. He called it the curse of consciousness, the ability to see deeper patterns and question everything, including yourself. But here's what makes this even more fascinating. Jung discovered that the most successful people often felt this internal divide the strongest. Picture a successful lawyer who's won every case but feels empty inside, or a brilliant scientist who's made groundbreaking discoveries but can't shake the feeling that something's missing. These weren't isolated cases. Jung documented this pattern repeatedly in his practice. Society tells us that feeling broken or disconnected means something's wrong with us, especially when we seem successful on the outside. We're taught to hide these feelings, to push them down, to focus on our achievements instead. Just be grateful for what you have. Look at all you've accomplished. But these words often make intelligent people feel even more isolated, more convinced that something must be wrong with them. But what if this internal struggle isn't a malfunction? What if those sleepless nights, those questioning moments, those feelings of being different, what if they're actually signals of something remarkable? Jung found that this sense of being broken was often the first sign of what he called awakening consciousness, a mind becoming aware of its deeper potential. Think of it like this. While most people are content with accepting the world as it appears, intelligent minds are like sophisticated instruments that pick up on subtle frequencies others miss. They sense the contradictions in society, feel the gap between what is and what could be, and notice the disconnect between their outer success and inner truth. It's not a flaw in their programming. It's a feature of their advanced operating system. But here's what makes Jung's discovery truly revolutionary. He found that this feeling of being broken wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning of something much more profound. And understanding this next part changes everything about how we view intelligence and inner turmoil. Let's dive into how Jung saw this internal conflict differently from everyone else. In his private practice, he noticed that intelligent people didn't just think more, they felt more deeply too. They couldn't just accept simple answers or follow the crowd. Instead, their minds constantly searched for deeper meaning, even when it hurt. Jung found something fascinating in his research. Smart people often develop what he called a persona, a perfect mask they wear for the world. Think of a high-achieving student who gets straight A's but secretly feels like a fraud, or a successful CEO who looks confident in meetings but feels completely lost inside. These aren't random examples. They're patterns Jung saw over and over. The real problem isn't the mask itself. It's that intelligent people are too aware of it. While others might happily play their social roles, smart people can't help but see through the act. They notice when they're being inauthentic, and it bothers them deeply. Jung found that this awareness often hits hardest between the ages of 28 and 40, when people have achieved enough to realize that success doesn't equal fulfillment. Think about what happens when a smart person stops fighting their inner conflict and starts understanding it. Jung found they didn't just become happier, they became more powerful in a quiet but profound way. They stopped trying to fit in and started bringing their whole selves to every situation. One of his patients, a brilliant executive who always felt like an imposter, finally brought her questioning nature into her leadership. Instead of just making decisions based on data, she created space for deeper conversations about purpose and meaning. Her whole company culture shifted. Jung discovered that people who walk through this fire come out with a strange kind of magic. They make others feel seen and understood. Remember that successful lawyer who felt empty inside? After working through his inner divide, he didn't just find peace, he transformed his entire approach to law. He started seeing his clients as whole people, not just cases. His practice became known for healing conflicts, not just winning them. Modern psychology confirms what Jung observed. Studies show that people who've faced and integrated their inner struggles show higher levels of emotional intelligence and better leadership. They're better at handling complexity, more comfortable with uncertainty, and more skilled at helping others through difficult times. But here's the most powerful part of Jung's finding. These transformed minds become bridges. They understand both the surface and the depths, both success and struggle. both light and shadow. They can translate deep truths into simple words. They can stand in boardrooms and speak to hearts, not just mind. They become the kind of leaders and creators our world desperately needs. Jung would say that feeling broken isn't a mistake, it's an initiation. Your intelligence hasn't cursed you, it's chosen you for something bigger than just success. Those sleepless nights, those deep questions, that feeling of being different, they're not signs of something wrong with you. They're signs of something right with you, something so right it hurts until it transforms. What Jung discovered wasn't just why smart people feel broken, he found the doorway to their wholeness. The very intelligence that makes them feel divided is the key to becoming complete. And in a world that desperately needs whole people, your journey through this darkness might be the most important thing you ever do. Your feeling of being divided isn't a flaw. It's the beginning of something extraordinary. Jung discovered that this sense of brokenness, especially in intelligent minds, isn't the curse it feels like. It's actually the first step toward a kind of wholeness most people never experience. Think about it. Your mind isn't just processing more information, it's processing life at a deeper level. Those moments when you feel torn apart inside, that's not weakness. According to Jung, it's your intelligence doing what it's meant to do, questioning, searching, pushing beyond the surface where others stop. This journey of transformation isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about understanding that your cracks are actually doorways to a deeper understanding of yourself, to more authentic relationship, to work that truly mattered. Jung saw this pattern again and again. The most profound transformations often started with people feeling completely divided inside. But here's what makes this understanding so powerful. Once you see your inner conflict as growth instead of damage, everything changes. Your sensitivity becomes strength. Your questioning becomes wisdom. Your feeling of being different becomes your gift to a world that desperately needs people who can think and feel deeply. Remember, feeling broken inside doesn't mean you're failing at life. According to Jung, it might just mean you're succeeding at becoming whole in a way few people ever attempt. And in that wholeness, you might just find exactly what your intelligence has been searching for all along. This heightened awareness comes with a price. Jung discovered that intelligent people often experience what he called the shadow more intensely. The shadow isn't just negative thoughts, it's all the parts of ourselves we try to hide. Smart people see their shadow more clearly than others, and this clear vision can feel like being broken. But here's where Jung's insight gets really interesting. He found that intelligent people struggle not because they're broken, but because they're actually more whole than they realize. Their pain comes from seeing both the light and dark within themselves, while others might only see one side. It's like having HD vision in a world where most people see in standard definition. You notice every flaw, every contradiction, every bit of darkness others miss. This explains why so many brilliant people feel like outsiders. Jung noted that they often see through social norms and superficial conversation. They crave deeper connections, but find themselves surrounded by small talk. They want to discuss life's big question, while others are content discussing the weather. This mismatch can make them feel alienated, even in a crowd of friends. The weight of seeing more, feeling more, and questioning more can feel crushing. But Jung discovered that this very weight is what pushes intelligent people towards something remarkable, a transformation that most people never experience. And understanding this next phase of the journey changes everything about how we view this inner turmoil. When Jung dug deeper into how intelligent minds transform their inner turmoil, he found something that changed how we understand psychological growth. It wasn't just about feeling better, it was about becoming whole in a way most people never experience. Think about how a diamond forms. It needs intense pressure and darkness before it becomes something precious. Jung found that smart people go through a similar process. Their mental pressure, their questioning, their feeling of being divided, it's all part of what he called individuation, a fancy word for becoming your true self. But here's the really fascinating part. Jung discovered that intelligent people don't just think their way through problems, they actually experience a complete shift in how their minds work. He tracked this in his patients and found a clear pattern. First, they'd feel torn apart inside. Then, slowly, they'd start seeing their inner conflict not as a curse, but as a conversation between different parts of themselves. Modern brain science backs this up in a surprising way. Research shows that people who go through this kind of inner struggle actually develop stronger connections between different parts of their brain. It's like their mental wrestling matches create new neural pathways. One study found that people who experience this kind of deep questioning show more activity in areas of the brain linked to self-awareness and emotional understanding. Jung noticed something else too. Smart people who embrace their inner conflict instead of fighting it often make unexpected discoveries about themselves. He documented cases where successful lawyers found their passion for teaching, or business executives discovered they were actually artists at heart. It wasn't about throwing away their old skills, it was about finding a way to be whole. This process isn't just about feeling better, it's about seeing yourself and the world differently. Jung found that his most intelligent patients didn't just solve their problems, they outgrew them. They stopped trying to fix what felt broken and started understanding that their cracks were actually letting in light. The transformation Jung observed wasn't peaceful meditation and instant enlightenment. Instead, it was messy, real, and profound. He saw people learn to carry both their brilliance and their darkness, their certainty and their doubt. They didn't become perfect, they became real. And in that realness, they found something most people spend their whole lives searching for: the ability to be themselves completely. But the most important part of Jung's discovery was what happened next, how these transformed minds began to influence the world around them. And this final piece helps us understand why feeling broken might actually be a gift rather than a curse. This internal shift that Jung observed in intelligent people wasn't just personal, it created ripple effects that changed everything around them. He documented how these transformed minds started influencing their families, workplaces, and communities in ways they never expected.